Good. Now, this is our last term meeting. The book, the last chapter, depending on implications for choice of school variety. Now, if you want to use English in your schools, because there is English and globalization over there, what will we be doing in the expanding circle? We are in the expanding circle. We are just users. We don't have any imperialistic burden on us, but we have some cultural burdens. Now, the questions in front of us will be what exposure should be given to the learners. So what will be the exposure? How do we expose ourselves to English? How English will be exposed to us as an international English, as a global English, or English as a lingua franca? This is number one question. Number two question, what production model should we choose? You see, the inner circle countries like America, Canada. Oh, I see. Your cat is also learning English. Very good.
Yes, hocam.
Very good, Gülnur. Good for you. America, England, New Zealand, Australia, and 5 countries, remember? These are the norm producer countries. Which one shall we take as a target for us? Is there an international language? There is a case like that. So the exposure today, ladies, is up in the orbit. In the orbit, there are more than 7,560 satellites. All right? 5,141 of them belonging to United States, and then only 561 satellites to United Kingdom. And there is also China over there. He's also teaching China. China is teaching Chinese to the whole world through 628 channels, satellite channels. Remember, satellites were invented in 1956 by Russia. Sputnik, remember? And then United States in 1957. So there is one more advantage now. The private sector, SpaceX, owns 1,655 satellites. So you see, the teacher's usage will be depending on them by taking the second question, the model. What will be the model? Will it be American-based or British-based model? Canada and America representing Canadian-based English, while the others are RP-based, like United Kingdom, New Zealand, and Australia. Which one will it be over there? Or will there be a use of international English? What is international English? This means. So we understand that we are going to be using the clips, tapes, and videos, especially remember in YouTube, as I do use this today, I'm going to use YouTube again heavily to give you the important functions of language using. Now, do not forget that national use of English is problematic today. Which nation? What nation? Globalization does not recognize nations, nationalities. It's not good. For example, Vermont in England, the state is full of French-speaking backgrounded people. but they use English. Are we going to be using, for Vermonters, that type of English in the United States? And how about the people in Nigeria? Remember, there is a Nigerian Creole. We saw it earlier in our studies. So what kind of Creole will it be, being based on American or British? In the expanding circle, there are aims for international language. The general model would be the effective international communicator, and so it will be important to learn cross-cultural communication strategies. Canada has got different intercultural strategies. Remember, they are also using French as a national language. English and Canadian, French Canadian. So the code of the target for production is important over here. And we know that we have a problem of accent. This is another issue. It's clear that, except with reference to accent, these recommendations apply to speakers of inner and outer circle varieties, as well as to expanding circle learners. And we can expect that some training in international English or ELF would be the part of education. English as a lingua franca or international English. They are forcing us, actually, through those satellites, thousands of satellites, use our model, this model. So what is international English? International English sometimes refers to English as is actually being used and developed in the world, as a language owned not just by native speakers, but all those who come to use it. So we are in the international English. Overall, international English is a variety of English that can be used worldwide as the main language communication, even among people whose native language is not English. Something like, how shall I say, Germany, and the like. All right. Now, therefore, English is not only an international language, but also a global language. For example, Jada, which English will be using when you start to teach professionally? This is the problem. You understand? You are going to choose for yourself a type of model. I'm doing American model. So is the case consistently with İsmail Hakkı Mirici hocanız. Consistently, that just designing all of the pronunciation rules and grammar rules and attitudes from American model. So this one, the second question that we see over here, my dear friends, what production model should we choose? Remember, number 2, this is the production model. So when you finish your PhD, Jada, you are going to be using a production model consistently, not combined with others. But international English has got some rules to combine the languages. Now, what is meant by international English? Just 2 minute, just two minute indication. What is international English? Let's listen for it. Do you see?
Have you heard of international English? We spoke about it this week on Sci Guys.
Oh, okay, so you're not entirely wrong there, because there is international English, which is a kind of limited vocabulary English that is sort of that international trade standard. Anything more than that, I'd have to go quickly look up, but I'm pretty sure there is kind of this international standard subset of English that's like, yeah, pretty much anywhere in the world, if you're talking about commerce, you should be able to get through with this subset of the language.
Super interesting.
That's amazing.
Like a standardized English.
Yeah, and like as not formally standardized.
Okay.
There's no like big a big group in charge, but it's just like the words that, if you're talking international trade, those are the words that got picked.
You see, this is the case. They are selling things, commodities, to the whole world by using English. This means that they are selling English grammar, English conversations to us, to the whole world. And this is some kind of, my dear friends, Gülnur, it's some kind of brainwashing. Good. Here's another application.
English's journey to global dominance began with the British Empire. As Britain colonized lands across Asia, Africa, and the Americas, English became a tool of administration and power. After the empire, the United States rose as a superpower. Hollywood, global trade, and the internet spread English even further. Today, English is the world's lingua franca, used in business, education, and pop culture. Its roots are colonial, but its reach is universal.
This is the case. The reaching situation is universal. So, English as a lingua franca. We will see. What is it? Lingua franca. Use of English in Turkey as a lingua franca. You can easily say, I have many informations. I have many knowledges. They don't reject this. Can you imagine? While inner circle countries, purists or prescriptivists object this, you are using some formations, unless nouns, if they are understandable, they are accepting the situation. Here is lingua franca.
Native speakers of diverse languages who use English to communicate across and within borders can be deemed as communicating in English as a lingua franca. It's a form of intercultural communication and doesn't aim to meet native speaker norms. Lingua francas have been used for centuries, but never to the extent that English as a lingua franca is now being used. With globalization, time and space have been compressed, meaning a form of shared communication across borders is needed like no time before, and English has taken on the role due to its prominence as a global language politically and culturally. Non-native speakers of English by far outweigh native speakers, and in their communities they have adapted the language to suit their needs, which strays from traditional native norms. English as a lingua franca focuses on function over form, prioritizing efficiency over grammatical and lexical accuracy. Those involved in the interaction adjust to each other's social, linguistic, and cultural backgrounds to create a hybrid form of communication. It represents multiculturalism and fluidity among a wide variety of language users globally. There is no one form of English as a lingua franca, but an endless array of variations. English as a lingua franca is an example of a new variety of English that, when taught, can reflect fluid ethno-linguistic identities that have become prominent in the 21st century. Globalization has ensured that mobility and communication are accessible to a larger number of people, so their reasons for learning English have become less motivated for integrative reasons and less inclined to follow the norms of the native speaker, due to intelligibility being the priority. This makes English as a lingua franca a valuable asset in today's world, and it opens the debate as to whether it should even be taught over more recognized standard forms of English, such as British or American. Thanks for watching this 2-minute theory on English as a lingua.
You see, Yılnur, tell me a country that you want to teach English.
Turkey first hocam.
Turkey first. So you can easily accept, you must accept, I have many informations. I have many knowledges, depending on Turkish way of thinking. This is the hybrid case. Ceyda, name me a country where you want to teach English.
Maybe Germany hocam. I don't
Good.
know why.
Good. I think You are happy, you will say. You will accept this because
Mhm.
Germans cannot use the. They don't have the. But if you do not use the meaning will change. I
Mhm.
think you are happy comes out as I think you are happy. But the meaning of think is batmak.
Mhm.
So you are gonna tolerate such differences as a kind of English and German mixture in some cases, provided that the communication will be understandable. You will understand
Mhm.
your students, and your students will understand you. If you want to teach English in Germany, then you must learn a little bit of German also while teaching there. It will be a plus for you. It will be a plus for you to find a job in Germany with a well-paying job case. You understand? So English is over there, and that's why in English we see in international English a dual standard. This means that English as a lingua franca is generally considered the functional form of international English, or English as an international language. ELF is defined as a use of English as a common language between speakers of language people who do not share the same native language. Imagine you are in Germany, Jada, you are in teacher's room. There will be you, there will be some from Liberia, some other teachers from Italy, from Greece. You see, they all carry these issues with the English. The problem here is English as a foreign language does not meet native speaker or British or American norms. Instead, it prioritizes mutual intelligibility, context, and accommodation. Accommodation means what? This is the country where you accommodate yourself. So learn the mother tongue of your students. Learn some information on this issue. And that's why English as a lingua franca will be like this.
English, a global language. Over the centuries, English has grown from the language of a relatively small area, England, to a global idiom. According to some estimates, almost 1 billion people use English as a first or second language. This process has given birth to many varieties of English. Quite a feat. But how did that all happen? Let's see. The spread of English to other countries began with British colonialism from 1600 to 1900. That took the language to North America, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and to the countries of the British Empire, where English became mixed with the native languages. The political and economic importance of the British Empire and of the United States helped make English an international language. Today, it has become the language of technology and the main language of the Internet, of popular music and culture. English is also the main language in international business, science, diplomacy, aviation, sport, international competitions, and advertising. In short, it is the lingua franca of international communication. All of this makes people all over the world want to learn English to be able to function in the present-day global world. A French computer engineer even decided to invent a simplified form of English to make international communication easier. His language, Globish, has a simplified grammar and no idioms. and uses only 1,500 English words. He guarantees that this is enough to express just about anything. English has also contaminated other languages. This took place as the people of various countries started using English words within their own languages. This phenomenon has created many Englishes, or many mixtures of English and other languages throughout the world. Spanglish is an example. It's a fusion of Spanish and English. Chinglish, instead, is the incorporation of English words into Chinese. Then there's Italianish, a version of Italian heavily dependent on English words. Here are some examples. You might be a teenager and a millennial who likes to chattare, twittare, andare sui social, or downloadare music. One day you might have a part-time job, and at work you might have to schedulare un meeting with your manager to decide the company's mission. During the weekend, you might go jogging or camping, or you might go to the cinema to see a sequel or a B-movie. Or are you fashion and prefer to go shopping for something trendy?
You see how complicated is the case. So in this respect, we understand that international English is over there. It is a type of global English. World Englishes. American English or British English are being accepted as standardized Englishes. And therefore, global English will be not directly British English or American English. It will be a combination of the use of nations in the expanding circle. So we understand that here we have global English. David Crystal says, you know David Crystal? One of the famous ELT lecturers, English lecturers, a British originated lecturer. He's famous for world Englishes in the world. Let me present him to you.
Language becomes a global language because of the power of the people who speak it. It's nothing to do with the structure of the language. It's nothing about English grammar or vocabulary or pronunciation or spelling that makes English an appealing language at a global level. In fact, if you think about it, English spelling would put most people off, you'd think. So it's nothing to do with the structure of language. No, it's all to do with power. But power means different things at different times. English first became international because of political power, military power, the power of the British Empire, really. But it isn't just political that takes a language around the world. There have got to be other factors too. A century later, we were talking about the 16th, 17th century there, we had the power of science, of technology, the Industrial Revolution. English is the language of science. That started then as something like 2/3 of the people who invented all the things that make modern society what it is, did so through the medium of the English language. And then in the 19th century, economic power. Money talks always, and the language it was talking in the 19th century was English, because America and Britain between them had the money markets of the world sewn up for the most part. And then in the 20th century, we have cultural power, with English being the language of the vast majority of the inventions that make modern society what it is. So it's English turning up in the, as it were, almost the right place at the right time during these last 400 years or so that has produced the enormous global status that it currently has.
You see, we are going to be using English. Now, let's think of our country now, Turkey. If you want to borrow money from IMF, you have to use English. If you want to borrow money with very low credits, IMF is the foundation. A foundation using English for international relations. And that's why, my dear friends, you take a look at the use of English as an international power in the world. You globalize the world after Second World War, my dear friends. After winning the war, England and America had a lot of war equipment in their hands left. The wars were over. There were many machine guns. There were many jeeps, cars, planes. They give these as donations to the expanding circle countries, one of which is Turkey. All right, we got these as Marshall aids. Duydunuz mu hiç Marshall aid'i? So there are some international aids, free. It's a kind of donation. So this way, how do you use the equipment in English? They send you the experts, and then they teach you how to use the machines over there. Therefore, my dear world, they saw that the term world English was very useful. Some people use this for individualistic, inclusive approach. For example, Longman Grammar of Spoken and Written English in 1919 used this as the individualistic approach. Look, we are British, we are going to be using the British style of writing and reading and writing. But another approach is here, new dialect approach, the Cambridge Guide to English Usage. This is a kind of idiosyncratic international spelling system of mixed American and British English. Look, our with O-U-R is British. The suffixes I'm talking about, and the counterparts are over there. These are different ways of writing English. Which one are you going to be using? British school or American school? Look, I said that a little while ago. You want to get some money from IMF. Which one will you be using this? You'll be using the American type without labor, favor, glamour, honor, color. You're not going to be using any ooh, because Benjamin Franklin, the beginning of the 18th century, 19th century, he just left it out that we don't need a U sound letter over there, he said. Hani Amerikan parasındaki Benjamin Franklin var ya, o. Aman dikkat et Elif. Be careful.
Hocam fark ettim, sıkıntı yok.
Good. Glad to see your voice. So, see how in writing systems you have the writing cases in international English that we are talking about now. Whether you are speaking international English, you are understanding international English, there are some money-based exams. Did you take any IELTS exam? You will take it. You are going to pay the money, $100, perhaps next year, we don't know how many. You are going to take the exam, and This exam is valid in all of the inner circle countries. Inner circle countries for 5 years. It's also valid in Turkey. This exam is being just used in the world as a case of job finding case. Look, if you want a job in Germany, Jada, you have to have this CEFR exam result. I went to America for 2 years for MA in linguistics. I took the TOEFL exam. And I paid at that time $80 for the exam. So this money goes to English language owners. Another one in Germany, Jada, this is CEFR, especially in Europe. If you are looking for a job, you are going to be using the CEFR European scale exams. Take a look at the exams. They are equivalent to IELTS and CFR correspondences. If you have CEFR grade, and this is equivalent to IELTS, it's acceptable. It's acceptable to find the job over there. And also levels over here, A1 from A1 to C2 over here. For us, take a look at this ESOL English equivalence over here. For us, my dear friends, this is C2 level for language teachers is preferable. This means that C2 English level teachers, learners, who achieve C2 level can easily understand almost everything they hear or read. They can express themselves fluently and spontaneously with precision in complex situations. So we understand that these exam-based situations are very, very valid in those ESL, EFL, EAL situations. And when you want a job in UNESCO or UNICEF, you're going to be using the IZE verbs. This is borrowed from Greek. IZE form preferred in correspondences with United Nations, World Trade Organizations. Our country has got proceedings with World Trade Organizations. They are looking for money with interest. International Organization of Standardization, International Telecommunication Union, for example, this one, for our satellites, International Telecommunication Union. You're going to sign up agreements for years. And these are all OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, over here. We use, again, IZE type of IZE type of correspondence. As opposed to this, British English, here, North Atlantic NATO, European Union English, CEFR, remember, is British-based. But now, because of Brexit, what is Brexit, Elif? Brexit.
I'm not sure hocam.
England declined in EU.
Okay.
It retreated. And this I's form still stays. Still, the Europeans must use this I form in such institutions like NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, European Union, Caribbean Community. Take a look at these. How about Greenpeace? Remember Greenpeace? Yeşili koruyan tabiat varlıklarını kirletilmesini koruyan bir organizasyon. Then American English. You see, all together we have these organizations, my dear friends, all written in written language. Bakın MLA, Modern Language Association. Jada, if you write an article, they say that please write it in MLA form. Otherwise, we do not publish it. So you see, this is some kind of organization. Altogether, world English is coming into a stage what is beyond the circles. Look, inner circle is over here. Outer circle is over here. Expanding circle is over there. So what will happen next? This will be your lifespan time. Sizin yaşam yıllarınızda, önümüzdeki yıllarda bu Beyond the Circles olayı daha çok değer kazanacak sevgili arkadaşlar. After the Second World War, United States, unfortunately, influenced the whole of the world by giving helps and aids to the world, and then 6 different types of ideologies came into being. Number 1, ideologies which are calling standard language ideology. Look, it will be a standard language like British English or American English. Or no, it's not important. We are going to be using a type of world Englishes. Grammatical mistakes are not important. Pronunciation is not important, provided that the situation is understandable. Real English, what is real English? Second language acquisition. This term came into being with Stephen Krashen, remember? He described learning and acquisition. You can learn, but you may not acquire it. Why? Because of certain circumstances and linguistic imperialism and English lingua franca. So these are the cases. First, standard language ideology. Look, French of Paris, German of Hanover, Italian of France, and Istanbulian dialect of Turkish. Standard language ideology, Turkish language is based on Istanbulian dialect, neither in Ankara nor Zonguldak dialect. Why? Because that was the language spoken in a place where the parliaments were there, the army was there, parliamentarians were there. So they come up together, the writers, literary writers, they give us a first language ideology. This means that there has been suggested that English should be made official to replace the national languages. No. Look, a Nigerian person will not decline in using language. Why? Because we already have a Creole Nigerian English. He's going to be using over there. So let's see, what is this language ideology? Let's take a look at the language ideology. Listen in carefully.
Hey, how are you doing? Yeah, so view it as our beliefs about language. So this means what correct language is. So maybe you've heard your parents say, oh, don't use ain't or don't use a particular word. That's kind of our view of some bad forms of English or language in general, right? But it can also represent what a particular group of people might sound like. So Disney movies are a perfect example of how a particular group might look like a villain based off of their language. So British varieties of English is typically represented as the villains in a lot of Disney movies. but also representations takes form too. So view of language ideologies is our view of language and how it represents other communities and what correct language is and isn't.
Yes, this is what it is. Look, I'm an American. I'm just recommending American English. Look, I'm a British. I'm recommending a British English. Look, I'm a German American. I'm recommending international English. There are German English backgrounds also. So if you go beyond language ideology, you have some other perspectives over here. This is world English. This is what it is being used by the superpowers. Bizi bu alana çekmeye çalışıyorlar arkadaşlar. World Englishes. Standard language ideology has been under attack for some time. Kachru and Smith worked on these, and they said that the differences between an individuality of varieties used on their home ground within the community of speakers. So this means that learn, a little while ago, I remarked this, the German English or Nigerian English in language use. This is world English. Take a look.
There are many different varieties of English in the world, and they are called world Englishes. The term world Englishes refers to the differences in the English language that emerge as it is used in various contexts across the world. Scholars of world Englishes identify the varieties of English used in different sociolinguistic contexts, analyzing their history, background, function, and influence. While there is no single way for a new variety of English to emerge, its development can generally be described as a process of adaptation. A certain group of speakers takes a familiar variety of English and adapt its features to suit the needs of their social context. The three concentric circles of Englishes. The term world Englishes was introduced by the Indian-American linguist Braj Kachru at a Teachers of English to Speakers of Other Languages conference. To illustrate the varieties of English across the globe, he proposed the three concentric circles model of Englishes. The inner circle consists of ENL, or English as native language member countries, such as the US, UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. The outer circle, on the other hand, consists of ESL, or English as a second language countries, like the Philippines, India, Singapore, Ghana, Zambia, etc. Here, English is a colonial language used for government purposes. And lastly, the expanding circle consists of EFL, or English as a foreign language member countries, such as China, Japan, Korea, Indonesia, South America, etc. Countries that belong to this circle use English as lingua franca. Lingua franca is a language that is adopted as a common language between speakers whose native languages are different. Now some countries in the outer and expanding circles have been colonized by those in the inner circle. Thus the varieties of English they speak are also referred to as post-colonial. Philippine English, an example. Philippine culture is a complex, colorful mosaic that combines indigenous Asian features with Western influences. Its rich diversity is reflected in its languages, including Philippine English, whose vocabulary abounds in words and phrases that are uniquely Filipino. For example, balikbayan box, a carton box shipped or brought to the Philippines from another country by a Filipino living overseas, which typically contains clothes, household products, and food. Sari-sari store, a small neighborhood store selling various products. Mani-pedi, a beauty treatment comprising both a manicure and a pedicure. The word is formed by clipping and blending the words manicure and pedicure. Filipinos primarily acquire English as a second or even third language alongside local vernaculars. This places English in constant contact with other languages, making borrowing a particularly productive means of lexical innovation. Now, just like any other variety of English, Philippine English is legitimate, having its own grammatical, lexical, and syntactic features. To recap, World Englishes refers to the differences in the English language that emerge as it is used in various contexts across the world. The term World Englishes was introduced by the Indian-American linguist Braj Kachru. To illustrate the varieties of English across the world, he proposed the three concentric circles model. The inner circle consists of countries that speak English as their native language, while the outer circle is composed of countries that use English as a second language, and the expanding circle includes countries that use English as a foreign language or lingua franca.
Yes, we are using this as English as a lingua franca, but in many cases, there were certain reactions from the world. Look, we must use real English created in the urban, civilized parts of the country. In terms of real English, this is United States, and there is Oakland in California. Oakland in California was the home of Negroes, Black Americans, almost 55% of them. They said that we are not gonna use American English as a real English. We want to use our Ebonics, our native tongue, for education. Remember, Ebonics is a dialect, Black English dialect of North American English. They made several attempts on this issue. They tested Ebonics in America, but it didn't work because it was a dialect. It's full of ungrammatical cases. These ungrammatical cases are accepted by the Black people as correct forms of English. And this way, here is the case how this project came into being and was later dismissed. Let's watch it.
Ebonics emerged as a result of centuries of historical circumstances that shaped the African American experience in the United States. Enslaved Africans brought forcibly to America from diverse language backgrounds had to communicate not only with English-speaking slaveholders, but also with each other. The linguistic fusion that occurred birthed a unique form of English, one shaped by West African linguistic patterns, the conditions of slavery, and, as importantly, the type of English that was spoken around the slaves. This is the part that doesn't get talked about enough. The Southern whites had and still do have a way of speaking English that's very similar to what is considered Ebonics. Black people came to the Americas speaking various languages like Igbo, Yoruba, Kikongo, Mindi, and many, many more. But on the plantations, these languages were suppressed. Communication with slaveholders, overseers, and among enslaved people from different African regions required a common tongue. The language inevitably was English, but the English that enslaved Africans encountered was not the formal British English of textbooks. It was the English of rural Southern whites, rich in dialect, full of regional idioms, and heavily inflected by the Scot, Irish, Anglo, and other European immigrant influences that defined the South. This Southern English was a key ingredient in the development of what we now recognize as Ebonics.
So they wanted to use Ebonics in education. Ebonics in education. Was it manageable? Let's take a look at how it's difficult. Just a minute.
Okay, we've all heard the word before. But what does linguicism actually mean?
There was a problem with linguicism.
Linguistic discrimination was a term coined by Dr. Tove Skutnep-Kangas in the 1980s. She defines it as ideologies and structures used to legitimate, produce, and reproduce unequal division of power and resources between groups which are defined on the basis of language. It can also exist among and between speakers of the same language, when one dialect is privileged as a standard. Linguicism is to consider English, for example, as the language of the modern world in progress, while other languages are not suitable for literature, knowledge, or societal functions. Linguicism is to stigmatize, downgrade, or make a language invisible. Linguicism prevails because it is supported by what we call linguistic imperialism. Linguistic imperialism is the dominance asserted by the establishment and continuous reproduction of structural and cultural inequalities between English, for example, and other languages. Dr. Robert Phillipson states that the language choice a person makes is imposed externally. That is, it's not really a choice. Dr. Alan Davis, on the other hand, believes that people are independent beings, capable of choosing a language of their own interest. Dr. Edward Said warns us not to forget the history for decentralizations and nativisms that have the power to turn human beings against each other. He reminds us that the imperial legacy is complex and contradictory. We'll now move on to discuss how linguistic imperialism has manifested itself internationally.
Yes, as you see, my dear friends, linguistics and linguicism over there, and we know that it will be all the time working together. But in the meantime, the term second language acquisition came into being in 1980s by Stephen Krishnan about learning and acquisition situations. And then he clarified through his theory many of the misconceptions about this. And we know that second language acquisition is interested in learning processes, whatever the target, and has to lead to detailed study of types of error that learners make or interlanguages. The idea of interlanguage came into being in 1972. Interlanguage is in your mind now, in your mindset, Gülnur, Elif, Ceyda. It's a combination of Turkish and English. It's a combination of Turkish and English. This is called interlanguage. You sometimes totally get hold of by Turkish while speaking English, and you make very strange, how shall I say, utterances by thinking in English. Did this happen to you? Oluyor bazen. Çok saçma Türkçe.
Evet hocam, bazen oluyor.
İşte this is interlanguage.
Hı hı.
This is the interlanguage. So this way we understand that interlanguage is over there as a danger. But most important dangerous form is linguicism. Linguicism is the servant of imperialism. Take a look.
Okay, we've all heard the word before, but what does linguicism?
We know this, and then we understand that. Şurada bir şey vardı çocuklar. Yes. Yes. So let me put it this way so that you can understand. Good. Now, let me turn to my text over here. Linguicism over here, and especially linguicism was killing the native languages. Remember Mahatma Gandhi? He said that Hindi should be national language of India, and country who has no own national language will be enslaved once again. There are 22 different languages, official languages in India, and over 400 different dialects. People in India, because of migrations, cannot communicate with each other. And that's why English people used the opportunity and introduced English, British English, combined with Hindi, and it became Indian English today as an accent. Then even the kids were in school were beaten up. Do not speak your native tongue in the classroom, they said. There were fights about this. And this is actually the case of the situation called neo-colonialism. Colonialism started in the 16th century, but Indian English came into being during the time of neo-colonialism in the 18th and 19th centuries. So this way, we understand that linguistic imperialism is dangerous for the national languages. So we understand that there is this kind of development, and it's called lingua franca. It's going to be used by many people in the world, and real Englishes, like inner world countries, use these Englishes in terms of world Englishes, promoting linguistic imperialism. World English is over here. Then what is this global English now? They're going to be using internationally oriented global English. But what's next? İşte sizin yaşamınız bundan sonraki şekli. What will happen in the future? The case is that US power, globalization, and information technology is working on this. Especially economics, politics, and military science and academy of US power is really controlling the whole world of English through 1,184 communication satellites. Globalization is going on in the world. The globalization is handled by multilingual communication and the information technology created by Silicon Valley, chat rooms, and artificial English, artificial application of the languages through computer-based studies defined the use of language in many countries. So electronic communication, we are also doing now electronic communication. Right at the moment, we are doing this electronic communication, but there are dangers like viruses, worms, Trojan horses, spoofing or phishing, right? And then hackers are over there. The people come and prevent the communication. In the following years, what will communication be like in 2050? What will happen to the language studies over here? Now, future of communication, very simple. Watch this.
In the year 2050, communication will transcend the limitations of today. Virtual reality chat rooms will allow people to interact in lifelike environments, no matter the distance. AI-powered translation services will eliminate language barriers, making global collaboration seamless. Wearable tech will enable real-time health monitoring and instant communication for emergencies. Perhaps most astonishingly, thoughts could be transmitted wirelessly, creating an entirely new dimension of connection where emotions and ideas are shared instantaneously. This thrilling timeline reshapes relationships, making connections deeper than ever before.
This means that you are not going to be using your mouth Perhaps you'll be using your brain in cooperation with telepathy. Telepathy. People may control your mind through telepathy. So this is known as communication revolution, which is indicated in this.
The advent of texting and the internet, we humans still find it easier to communicate through. Despite the advent of texting and the internet, we humans still find it easier to communicate through speech because we believe that lowering or raising our voices is how we can be heard. Well, there's one crazy prophecy from Ian Pearson that may toss that idea out the window in the future. But first, let's talk to you about Pearson. Pearson is a British futurist who's right about 85% of the time. About 30 years ago, he predicted smartwatches and music subscriptions that today now take the gold in its market. And that's everything we need to know about Pearson for now. About 6 years ago, Pearson made another prediction. According to him, neurotechnology will allow us to communicate using just our thoughts by 2050.
You see, this is what it is. Telepathy. It's going to be telepathy, something like this.
In 2050, the world witnesses a dramatic transformation in language.
We know this one.
In 2050, spoken language has undergone a
spoken language, and we come to cutting-edge technology. This is totally using the language, computer technology through artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, blockchain, virtual reality, augmented reality, advanced robotics. Bugün görüyorsun bugünlerde robotlar neler yapıyor. Safiye diye bir robot var. Suudi Arabistan'dan vatandaşlık almış. Ve evlenmek istiyorum diyor. Robot. Tabii ona ne feedback verirseniz onu yapar. So, advanced robotics, quantum computing to solve the problems, or neuromorphic computing. Neuromorphic computing coming into being. So we understand that today we have artificial intelligence. We know we are using it, but there is a new way of learning augmented reality and virtual reality. This way you will learn foreign languages as if you are living in that culture, in the culture of language. Let it be New Zealand, let it be American or Canadian English or British English. So this means that, my dear friends, we have this virtual reality learning. Take a look.
These days, we spend a lot of time looking at screens. Computers, smartphones, and televisions are a big part of our lives. They're how we get most of our news, use social media, watch movies, and more. Virtual reality and augmented reality are two technologies changing the way we use screens, creating new and exciting interactive experiences. Virtual reality, also known as VR, uses a headset with a built-in screen that displays a virtual environment for you to explore. These headsets use a technology called head tracking, which allows you to look around the environment by simply moving your head. Augmented reality, or AR, is a bit different. Instead of transporting you to a virtual world, it takes digital images and layers them on the real world around you. This is done through the use of either a clear visor or a smartphone. So with VR, you could explore a world full of dinosaurs. But with AR, you could see those dinosaurs moving through the world around you. Both of these technologies are growing at a rapid pace and being implemented in a variety of different ways. Surgeons are using VR to practice highly technical surgeries before operating. Businesses are using them to give consumers virtual tours of products and locations. There are even apps that can use your smartphone's camera to scan and translate a foreign language in real time. As they continue to grow, VR and AR have the potential to greatly change almost every industry. You'll want to keep an eye on them to see how they might soon affect your job and potentially your everyday life.
You see, virtual learning and augmented learning over there. Hele bir augmented learning var ki tam içinde yaşıyorsunuz kültürü. And the result is metaverse, as we will see. Let's take a look.
In this video, you will learn what virtual reality and augmented reality are, and how they are different. Virtual reality, or VR, immerses you in a completely digital environment. Using a VR headset, you can explore and interact with a 3D world that feels real but is entirely created by computer technology. VR is revolutionizing multiple industries. In education, VR makes learning interactive and fun. In gaming, it provides an immersive experience that takes you right into the heart of the action. In healthcare, VR is used for pain management, physical therapy, and even surgical training, offering innovative solutions for patient care and medical education. Augmented reality, or AR, overlays digital content onto the real world. Using devices like smartphones or AR glasses, you can see and interact with virtual objects that appear to be part of your physical surroundings. AR allows you to see how furniture would look in your homes through your smartphone or tablet. You might be confused about VR and AR. Don't worry, just keep watching to learn the difference. VR offers a completely virtual world, while AR adds virtual elements to the real-world settings. VR requires a headset. AR requires a smartphone, AR glasses, or other devices. When using a VR headset, the system controls your interaction in the virtual world. Meanwhile, you can control your interaction in AR. VR technology only enhances virtual reality, while AR technology enhances both virtual and real world. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like.
Okay, so you understand that this is what it is, and the world around you is something like metaverse. Hayali bir dünyada yaşıyorsunuz. Ama bunu rahatlıkla gerçek bir experience olarak alarak hiçbir harm olmuyor size. Örneğin pilotları biliyorsunuz değil mi? Pilotlar ne yapıyorlar? Simulation odalarında uçuş yapıyorlar. Uçağı düşürmüyorlar. Düşüyor gibi oluyor ama hatalarıyla. Biz gidiyoruz, uçağa biniyoruz. Sırf onun bilgisine hayatımızı teslim ediyoruz. So, how the classes will be in this metaverse world, something like this.
Would you send your kids to this metaverse school, where pupils don't just learn about planets, they play with them?
Okay, that Saturn is way too big.
And they don't just read about hearts, they enter them.
And you can see the flow of blood through it, and you can understand the chambers and the valves. Literally walk through a heart.
Redham House School in England is trialing teaching children in the metaverse, using VR headsets to dive deeper into the subjects they're studying.
We've used virtual reality across every subject as part of our pilot for virtual reality. Some of the most impressive things we can do are science experiments that would otherwise be impossible or too dangerous to do in a classroom.
Saskia and Alex are metaverse students and have been taking part in subjects from science to history, art, and geography.
Really cool how I got to kind of put the heart in a different place, because if you were in a normal classroom, you can't do that.
Because in a normal classroom, if I went up to a human heart, I wouldn't go anywhere near it. Yeah. But in the metaverse, in the classrooms, it's like you're not holding anything, but you actually are.
Because the digital version of Redham House School is a virtual location, the lessons are accessible for students anywhere in the world. The Metaverse School is being developed by Inspired Education Group. Nathan O'Grady is project lead.
But we can also use it in subjects like geography to have an instantaneous field trip anywhere in the world. We've used it in history to go back in time experience things like World War II from the ground and understand what those atmospheres were like.
We were doing a space topic and that was perfect. So we learned about solar system, planets, what's a star, what's a satellite. That's a good setting. The retention is fantastic. Once they've seen something, they'll remember it. And there's a deeper understanding because they can manipulate an object, they can see it from all sides, they can see how it works, they can see the function. And so they really get a deeper, better understanding.
We're here in front of the incredible building at Redham House, Berkshire, the school that's been used as the inspiration for Inspired Education to create their Metaverse School. Metaverse School is a digital twin, an exact copy of this building in virtual reality that brings together students from all around the world to be taught in virtual reality. So 84 different schools in 24 different countries.
Can you imagine how learning is achieved in this way? In metaverse, and especially in augmented reality, finally,
let's just say that augmented reality in education is becoming more and more present, and you better learn about it and realize that change AR may bring to your classroom or lessons. In this video, I'll show you some astonishing augmented reality apps for education. Make sure to check the description as I link to the blog post with lesson ideas using these exact apps. But first, what exactly is AR? Augmented reality, or AR, is a visual and sometimes interactive experience in a real-world environment where the objects in the real world are augmented by computer-generated perceptual information. These virtual enhancements in the real world can appear as something visual and auditory. Here are 8 augmented reality apps. I have 4 more for you via the link in the description. The first one is HP Reveal. The idea of HP Reveal is simple. You make any image, a photo, graphics, text document, scannable with a smartphone or tablet and associate an action to take when the image is scanned. An action can be display a movie, show an extra explanation, refer to a website, and so on. This way, you enrich simple paper posters, images, QR codes, and many more for people who use your Reveal app to look at them. The second app is CoSpaces Edu. This app is a content creation app for students. With CoSpaces, students can build their own 3D objects and animate them with code. Students can explore any creation with the VR and AR view modes. The next app, Wonderscope, is a storytelling app that uses augmented reality to transform ordinary places into real-time stories. Students also learn to read with the app. They ask questions to the characters in the story and listen to the characters' answers. Use Shapes 3D for math, or more specifically, to teach geometry. Create prisms, pyramids, solids of revolutions, and platonic solids. Start easy with simple figures and gradually explore the most complex ones. This AR tool wants to enhance the teacher's capabilities and provide possibilities to show things that cannot be shown with physical tools or within the classroom. The next one is Google Expeditions, which offers a mix between AR and VR and allows the teachers to guide students through 360-degree scenes and 3D objects, pointing out interesting sites and artifacts along the way. They have lots of augmented reality courses. Download the free app Expeditions and let your students explore history, science, arts, and the natural world. With the Metaverse app, students can play mobile games in augmented reality, go geocaching, have location-based experiences, make puzzles, choose their own adventure, and go on scavenger hunts. With the Metaverse Studio, you can create your own interactive stories and breakout games for your students. Did I mention Snapchat already? Believe it or not, but almost every Snapchat filter is based on AR technology. You can place filters over pictures and make them stand out. Students can also make their own augmented reality filters. Last but not least, AR Maker. AR Maker is a creative toolbox for augmented reality. With this app, students can sketch, scan, and snap the environment around them. Let them transform creations from 2D to 3D virtual objects. When you've created a 3D AR object, you can place your creations anywhere in your environment. Students can also record, save, and share scenes with their teacher. And that's it. I hope you now have enough augmented reality.
This is the case, my dear friends. This is the case how learning will be in the future time, right? You will be augmented reality learner, and you will be teaching through multi-sensory approach. Multi-model along with multi-sensory approach. So, the final question. I'm closing little moments later. We have these, but what will happen to English? What is the future of English as a lingua franca? This is a typical term paper topic. What will happen to future of lingua franca? In other words, will Chinese replace English as a global language? Because Chinese is the language, first language spoken by the native speakers, close to 700 million people. Will it replace English, the place of English? This is another term paper topic. I don't think that it will replace English because Chinese is a language, one of the difficult languages of the world because it uses pictures. Its alphabet is very discouraging. I started to learn Chinese and later I gave up, Jada. The alphabet scared me a lot. It's impossible to learn. You're going to learn it in your earlier phases of life. So will English replace all other languages in the future is another term paper topic. All right. And then there are some views about how English will function and how will it stay its location just fighting with Mandarin language, especially. See, Mandarin language is the largest spoken language on the earth at the moment. And there is also Indian language, but Indian language is Indian English is not very, very practical. It's not very practical, as you see. English will not be replaced by neither Hindi nor Chinese, but you will see other versions of teaching English through augmented reality and virtual reality. This is what it is. Now, do you have any questions? Yılnur, any questions?
No hocam, thank you so much.
No hocam, thank you.
Okay, Elif?
No hocam, thank you. It was
All right.
very clear.
Yeah.
Lesson, thank you.
Now, just one minute more. I prepared a text for you about your future situation. Bunu kapatayım. What will happen to you, to your English exams in the future time? Look, additional, you will be taking the English exams in relation to global market, commercial components, employment and professional development, especially here. You are here. TESOL, CELTA, TOEFL, ELT situation. And you will be taking, my dear friends, by paying money, one of these or two of these exams. Take a look. English as academic purposes. Imagine you apply for a scholarship and they say that, okay, did you take the AEA, AP exam? Did you take the SP exam? So bring your scores with them. English is an international language over here, right? I took this one so as to make an MA degree in linguistics, number 24 over here, in America, University of Texas at Austin. And my score was okay. But they said that, no, this is not enough. You must take the GRE exam. Yazar mısınız? GRE exam. GRE exam. This is a science exam. Bizimkiler hangisini kullanıyor? Science olarak bizde. İşe girerken ne istiyorlar? One of these exams plus hani
YDS.
Efendim?
YDS istiyor.
YDS. Başka? Hani matematik, fizik, kimya soruları çıkıyor.
ALES.
ALES istiyorlar. So,
ALES'te ama hocam fizik, kimya yok. Matematik, Türkçe o.
tamam. Bazen koyuyorlar. Şimdi ben almıştım Amerika'da. GRE olarak almıştım. Fizik, kimya da vardı. Demek değiştirmişler. Burada sevgili çocuklar, diyorlar ki you are scientifically minded. You can take this exam. But in any cases, if you are on a scholarship, they disregard GRE exam, ALES yani. ALES. Not in Turkey, but in other countries. Ya arkadaş, ALES'in niye %50'sini alıyorsun? Niye %50'sini alıyorsun? Bunu bir arkadaşa sordum. Makamını söylemeyeceğim. En üst makamlardan biriydi. He said that we are trying to discriminate stupid and clever students by GRE, by ALES, he said. No, take the TESOL exam, TOEFL exam, IELTS in 50% and add 20% from ALES or GRE. It's not how shall I say, fair. It's not fair. So in this respect, my dear friends, these are all possible exams waiting for your future in terms of your success. But do not forget that foreign language teaching is a factory without chimneys. A factory without chimneys. The market size by 2035 will be this much in United States dollars. They are selling English to us. They are limiting our future. They are charging us to pay and then get a position even in our own country. ALES still required, and then YDS and IELTS. IELTS is okay. Did you take IELTS, Elif?
No
Perhaps?
hocam maalesef not yet.
Try to take it. Just an it's a kind of skill, improving your skill. So in this case, these are the exam types in your future life. You are the future of ELT in Turkey. Do not forget that. Each of you is a value for us, and the exams that you have on these will be waiting for you. Any questions? Once again, any questions?
No
Ceyda?
hocam, thank you for preparing such a file for us.
Thank you, Gülnur, Ceyda. Now, would you stop recording?
Okay hocam.